confident overall in the gym. Absolutely exceeded what I expected. I dropped obviously 5 kg throughout. I noticed it on my arms. I was more toned, and I liked that you tailored it around my lifestyle. You didn't have a one size fits all model. I did have a structure and a routine in place. Life can happen. Really easy to follow, really understanding, definitely not judgmental, which is really helpful.
Thank you for joining me. So we're just going to get straight into kind of your testimonial today. I basically want to talk through your whole journey. So my first question is, what did you ultimately do before joining your coaching? So what was the reason you kind of got a coach, and where were you at your fitness, health, etc., etc.?
Okay, great. So when I first joined, I had kind of hit a bit of a plateau. Before I had a coach, I had gone on a bit of a weight loss journey where I lost around 1.5 stone, which I was really proud of in lockdown. But I got really comfortable, and then I kind of fell back into some habits where I wasn't regularly going to the gym, I wasn't getting steps, etc. And I wanted someone to give me more structure around what I did on a day to day and how I fitted it in. I also wanted more guidance on specific training parts, so mainly around glutes, abs, and what sort of things I can use in the gym to help with that. When I was going to the gym at the beginning, I wasn't using the weight section. I felt I was a little bit scared to use it. I think some people may say the same thing
Oh
because I
my God.
hear it quite a lot,
Yeah, honestly.
especially from friends.
Yeah.
When you see when you haven't done weights before and you see, sometimes it can be a little bit daunting, but I wanted someone to coach me through, okay, what would be the best way to start out in the weight section, how to progress in that, which I found really, really beneficial. I mean, now when I go to the gym, I don't even think about walking into that section at all. I think my confidence overall in the gym has absolutely exceeded what I expected. So that was definitely one of my main focuses. Another focus was to hit a certain weight goal, which I did roundabout. So I realised that it wasn't necessarily always the weight that you can fixate on, but I did have an idea in mind as to what I wanted to get to. So yeah, I mean, that was my main goals. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like I achieved a lot of them. But yeah, that would I say would be the three
Okay,
main
perfect.
things.
Yeah, and I would say as well, it's not even just physical transformation that you achieved. It was the mentality, it was the gym confidence. There was so much to it, which is
Uh-huh.
really, really good. How did you find my coaching and obviously the online program?
Yeah, I found the structure really great. It really helps me plan around, how I would navigate it with work versus how I'd navigate it on a weekend schedule, which is really great. What I enjoyed quite a lot was the advice
Uh-huh.
on sort of food and nutrition. I mean, even now I completely changed the way I think about food, but also how I can incorporate maybe more protein and maybe some different meal swaps, which is really good too. Because on the app, I know there's a section and a booklet that comes up with loads of different advice on different meal swaps.
This isn't a trick question, but how did you find me as a coach and mentoring you through your fitness journey?
Right. So I think to begin with, I find you really approachable, which
Yeah.
is good. I think you were definitely really understanding of different situations and definitely not judgmental at all. I think that's what some people may be not afraid of, but some people may be a bit cautious of when going to coaches, that they could be oh, they're going to judge me in case I have XYZ habit, or in case I do something, I don't know, whatever it may be. So I found you really approachable in the first instance. You're really understanding about certain scenarios, and I liked that you tailored it around my lifestyle, and you didn't have a one size fits all model, which is great. I think in terms of day-to-day coaching, I liked the regular check-ins. I liked that whilst you were kind of pushing me towards my goals, you weren't necessarily absolutely in full sync lows, but I mean, I could definitely opt for that if I wanted to, right? But my approach, I wanted coaching, but checking points on set basis, which was really good. And I felt like I could talk about anything to do with nutrition training at any point. So I felt like you were really easily accessible throughout. So if I had any random question at any point in the day, I'd just ping you a message and you'd be able to give me some sound advice on it, which I thought was really great.
Good, good. I'm glad. I mean, that's such a big thing, isn't it? With obviously coach client, it's you need that communication. So Yeah, 100%. That's great. And then just walk me through some of the numbers. How much did you achieve in terms of like transformation, in terms of like the whole journey? Like what sort of transformations did you go through?
So I started around like end of September, October time, and at that point I was around like 65 kg, and I had like specific weight in my brain to reach 57 because that's what I was a few years ago. I wanted to get back to that physique, but that was like back in like 2019, 2020. Body changed, and I realized that I didn't have to have that certain figure in mind. I did get down to around sort of like the 60 mark, which was great. I dropped obviously 5 kg out. But what I started to focus on more and what I really enjoyed seeing the changes of was not just the scales, but obviously how my physique looked as well overall. So I started noticing that my waist was looking slimmer, glutes were looking sort of like more perked, etc. And I was getting more toned. I had a lot of compliments on my arms. That sounds like I'm being really weird, but a couple of people have noticed it on my arms that I was like more toned. So I started to look more at what my body looked like, measurements, etc., rather than that weight. Mine, I mean, obviously people's goals are different, right? But I realized that being around like the 60 mark was kind of like what I'm happy with. And obviously, if it fluctuates around that figure, I was fine with that. But I was more excited to see the results that I was seeing on my actual physique rather
Yeah.
than the scale, which also helped with that mindset piece.
Yeah, I mean,
Well.
it's such a big thing, isn't it? Like, obviously, to initially start and be like, okay, I want to achieve like this number. Like, there's so much pressure on like that one number that it's like, oh, unless I hit that, then I've not. But it's so great that your whole mindset has kind of shifted to actually realize, you know what, if I'm not that, then excellent. But actually, I can see the physical changes in my body, and that's what obviously is so much better because, yeah, like you said, it really instills that confidence in you. So, and the fact that you're like, I just remember your like first few training sessions compared to like your last few, like with me, anyways. How much stronger you got? Like literally, there was a couple of
I
exercises.
didn't even realize I'd be able to do that.
Yeah. Some of like your hip thrusts and just like certain exercises, I think, yeah, like you said, you kind of shocked yourself with just how strong you actually were in such a short period of time as well. So yeah, so many big like transformations there, which is excellent. Cool. So my next question then is, what were your biggest challenges whilst kind of going through that coaching journey?
Okay, so obviously it's subjective to the person, but what I found for myself was, although I did have like a structure and a routine in place, life can happen. And it's going to happen, and things can like get in the way at times, whether it be work and you've got like certain things that you have to shift around, or you do have to shift around maybe like your workout schedule. You can't always fit to this specific one, which I found a lot more manageable because then I could kind of like plan out my week with life and plan it out with the gym and getting steps in and obviously nutrition. I think my other challenges was I was really happy with the amount of weights I was lifting. I wanted to keep like lifting more and more, but understand that obviously you have to go through that progression first to get there. You can't just all of a sudden go straight into like 130, 120 hip thrust. You've got to do it gradually. But yeah, I definitely got up to a really great figure with that, which I was really happy about. But I think it's kind of like that mindset of its journey. You can't just all of a sudden go in and pick up a really heavy weight and then all of a sudden it just happen overnight. You have to progress on that. So it's all about changing that mindset. I'd definitely say when it was maybe more like, because it was in the festive period, that was probably a little bit challenging because obviously different life pieces are getting in the way. But like I really enjoyed that I could kind of like tailor my program around what life events I had at the same time. So even though it was a challenge, I could maybe like jig around like how many calories I was eating one day versus like what I was focusing on during like the week of Christmas, for example. So even though it was a challenge, when I thought about it, actually you could restructure it all and it was fine. So yeah, I'd probably say
no, I was going to say, I think it's such a big thing. I think everyone thinks, oh, there's one way of how to get from A to B. And actually, if you kind of look at your life and figure out what's actually going to work best for you, which we did a lot in terms of like you said, it was around Christmas time. You had a lot of like birthdays and social occasions. And it's not a matter of, oh, I need to sit those out. I've got a fitness journey and I've got a goal I want to reach. Instead, it's, okay, I want to achieve this goal. What can I do to tailor this around my lifestyle so that I can still enjoy all the social occasions I have and still, go out and drink and, eat more food, etc. But how can I still get those workout sessions in? How can I still, tailor my diet around each of those things, which I think as well is such a big skill that you've kind of taken on and you've learned, because obviously you're going to be able to do that kind of life, just to continue to always know how to manage those social occasions, just because, you're never not going to have those things that you want to be doing. I was going to ask, did you ever feel like quitting?
At one point.
Oh,
I mean, like I mentioned, I have, like, with like my role, I had a lot of pressure coming from work, and I felt at one point I was like, oh my god, like I actually need to step it up at work, but I also need to keep going to the gym and doing everything at the same time. But then I think you do have to think about what the end goal is and what really motivates you to begin with, and why you started out the journey. So yeah, I probably say at one point I did, but always relating back to your like key drivers, your motivators, why you set out on the journey. And then that really helps you reevaluate the situation and actually think, okay, done what I do. Keep going. Because if you do have, say for example, you have an off week, it's fine. You can reset for the next week. And I did have some off weeks that I think anyone will have, like a week where they haven't been completely like 100% perhaps. Well, I did at some point, but I felt like I could, okay, reset, let's go on to the next week. Don't worry about it. Let's keep going. Because like I mentioned, it's a journey.
Well, when we first get started, our idea is that I'm going to be 100% on it. I'm going to not miss any training sessions.
Yeah.
And like you said, like life will get in the way, and it just comes down to the thing of, well, how bad do you want it? Why have you started? And because life's always going to get in the way, how adaptable can you be to that? And you've shown time and again, like, things can prop up in your way, whether it be work or social life or whatever it is, and you can still manage to fit some things around into your lifestyle to make sure that you can accommodate for your goals as well as the things you need to be doing. So that's excellent. So I wanted to kind of discuss, like, in terms of your goals and the journey you've had with your goals. So number one, like, what were your goals in the beginning and how have they changed as you've gone through the journey?
Okay, so I think in the beginning I did really focus, like I already mentioned, on like the weight goal. And I also had like a real focus around how many days I went in the gym and like everything like that. But I think as time went on, changed into, okay, what does my physique look like? What does my mental state feel like? Have I come out really positive after a week's worth of working out, rather than just focusing on, okay, what do the scales look like? Have I lost weight? So I'd probably say that was the main shift that happened. I mean, even now, I don't even, if I'm honest, I don't really weigh myself anymore. I am like measurements, like, what my glutes look like.
Rely on that scale, don't they? And it's like, fact you don't.
Yeah, I haven't weighed. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I weighed myself actually probably around 3 weeks ago, and it was around like 59 to 60, so it's like 59 and a half. But like my physique, I was really happy with. So yeah, I think it was just that mindset change, and also like what I was getting mentally out of working out. So like I had more of a positive outlook. I actually found it really helped with work. So although I had a lot of pressure that was going on in my work life, I could like let it all out at the gym and use it as like a de-stressor, which was quite good too.
That is what the gym is for.
So yeah, it's definitely about the mindset piece as well. So it's incorporating like everything into it, rather than just, I want to get to a certain weight and that's it.
So crazy that at the beginning it was like, okay, I want to drop like a stone, for example, that's the main goal, and that be looking at like a tangible goal, that's it. Whereas like you've gone on this journey which is like so much more than that, and if anything, I think it's great that at the moment you don't feel the need to weigh yourself, you don't have that kind of relationship with the scale anymore, and instead it's you know that you feel good, you look good, and you're managing to hold your weight really well as it is, you're still enjoying your social occasions, you're now consistent with the gym, like all those things like show so much more of your progress than like that number. So that is,
makes sense. I think the strength thing as well, like I definitely, like you mentioned, I didn't think I'll be able to like lift, like I did 100 kg and I felt like it was like quite a good period of time in terms of like hip thrusts. And like the first session we ever did, I can't remember, what did I start on, like 40?
I think the one we got up to was like like around 100, 105, something like that. And it was like a really good set as well, like you absolutely smashed it. So that is actually so crazy, because I think, well, like you said, you surprised yourself with just how strong you actually are. So that's really, really good. What would your main piece of advice be to someone that's a beginner?
I'd probably say you can't go into it thinking that the end result you're going to get to in like a certain way, because there's going to be like peaks and troughs throughout your journey. And I definitely say like take every day as it comes. Like it's not going to happen like overnight. Like it is going to be like a lifestyle change, and like your nutrition, confidence in the gym, also around your like viewpoints on perhaps how you see like weight, the scales. So like definitely don't like overthink it. Take like every step as it comes, and try not to like put too much pressure on yourself at the beginning,
Yeah.
because you don't want to get to like the middle and then like perhaps like burn out, for example. So like take it as you come. If it is a slow journey, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Everyone works at different paces, because it's really easy to see online, like when you see like some transformations and you're like, oh my god, like why has that not happened to me yet? Or like, but everyone's body works differently and everyone's like lifestyle is different. So definitely take it as it comes. It's not a one size fits all model, but it is really helpful to think about it as like more of a lifestyle change and rather I'm going to go in and lose like a rapid amount of weight in like, I don't know, 8 weeks. Because yeah, that could happen 100%. But if it doesn't, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you're doing a journey rather than just like a short period and then that's it.
Yeah. And do you know what? I don't know if I'm biased, but I feel like that's so much better than doing, getting from like here to like here, like one straight line. It's so much better when you have your ups and downs because it makes your highs really like, okay, I've really worked hard for this. And as well, you
Yeah,
learn from all
makes
of
you more resilient.
well, 100%, exactly.
Yeah,
So cliche to say, but it's so true. Like all of your days where
it really is.
you're probably thinking like, oh fuck this, is like work's getting in the way, I'm stressed out, blah blah blah. And then like the following
Yeah.
a great week and it will just feel 10 times better because the week before didn't quite go to plan.
Mm.
Just even things like
Yeah.
that.
Although one thing I am looking forward to is because obviously I did mine over like when it was the darker months. It got dark really early. It was cold. I'm really looking forward to actually like doing my whole like routine in the summer.
Oh
I
yeah.
can go out for a walk at like 8 o'clock and it's not like pitch black and raining. That is the one thing I'm definitely looking forward to
Yeah.
actually trialing out in the summer months, because I feel like everyone can agree having a walk
Oh,
in summertime and getting your steps in is going to be a lot more enjoyable.
the
And
thing is,
it's just different motivators in different
yeah.
months.
The thing is, if you've managed to be consistent and do what you've been able to achieve in winter, like you just know in summer,
Yeah.
winter, and you'll enjoy it so much more just because summer is just so much nicer, isn't it? So yeah, you've definitely got that to look
Yeah.
forward to. How would you describe the program structure to others in terms of like how everything's done and how easy it was, like
Uh-huh.
for you?
Okay, so I mean, first of all, obviously you have like a setup call where you really align what your goals are and what you want to achieve. Maybe you have like certain milestones that you work towards, and then obviously the plan is like structured around what you want your goal to be in like a period of time. I remember at the beginning, you can select like how like I'm gonna say like intense it
Mhm.
is. So
Yeah.
like if you want to have like a really intense amount of sessions, or if you kind of want to go into it slowly, I think I did like moderate to intense, like in the middle. The fitness app was great, so you get set up on the fitness app and that will set you up for, okay, this is what your workout plan is going to be. You have like a list of what your goals are for each day, so you can like tick it off. Really satisfying. You tick off like each goal of the day, and then when you come to like the end of the week, you ticked off all your goals. That's really, really great. So yeah, that will really align, okay, like how many steps you need to do, what sessions you need to do, and then each like workout session is laid out really clearly on the app. I remember you talked through the exercises with me at first in terms of the gym, so like what I was comfortable with, what I maybe needed more support in, and then we, like I mentioned, had that first session just to run through some exercises in my form, etc. So that's how like the setup of the gym area worked. And then obviously there's the nutrition side. At the beginning you mentioned, okay, like I'll give you an idea about what sort of calories you need to eat, lose weight versus maintenance weight, and then you'd have like, I had like specific days around like what sort of calories I would eat in which. So that's really good, and that's how to help you keep track of everything. I know that you spoke about what foods you like, what you don't like, and then help to plan some meal ideas. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of content that you've produced up on the app with like a brochure around like recommendations for food and recommendations for like meal ideas. And then yeah, so that helped with the food piece. We also have like, there's the Live Fit group chat, which is really helpful for like general advice with other people in the program, which is really great. I'm in it now, and there's always like regular advice just like trickling in, which is really good for people on the same journey. So it's good that you have that shared experience of the coaching side too, of like other people going through perhaps similar journeys. In terms of like checkpoints, there's like a regular checkpoint that you get every Sunday where you're asked to like just summarize how your week's been, and then there's like a regular check-in on like the Monday where you just go over successes of the week, key actions for the next week, and what the plan is after that. and then that progresses obviously as you go along.
In regards to just like the program structure, did you find that the experience in itself was like easy to follow and everything like?
Yeah, it was definitely really easy to follow. There's nothing that was like confusing at all. It's really clear about what you have to do each day. And then obviously, say for example, you do have a day where you're not reaching it, or for example, you may check in and be like, okay, well, how are you going to go about doing that in the coming days, and give a bit of advice and support on that. So yeah, definitely nothing confusing at all. It's really clear.
Good, I'm glad. Well, that's everything I wanted to ask. So thank you again for taking the time to do
Definitely.
testimony.
Nice.